I'm Jim Gordon, and you're watching Market 1 Minute. Joining us now is Paul Rosen, CEO and Chairman of the Title Royalty Corp. Paul is a co-founder of the Cronus Group, a prolific angel investor in the cannabis space, and now the CEO and Chairman of Title Royalty Corp. He certainly has his finger on the pulse of the global cannabis industry. What would you say, Paul, is the most important lesson that you have learned so far?
The market's incredibly promising, but the key is to do your homework to make sure that if you identify an asset you want to invest in or an opportunity that you want to maybe start a company around, you've really done your homework, because it's a much bigger ecosystem than people realize, and without the benefit of context, it's very difficult to make predictable outcomes.
Paul, how do you expect the global cannabis market to develop? Will it be a recreational market, a medical market, or will it be something entirely different?
I think we're going to have, in any well-governed sort of free society, we're going to have both recreational and medical cannabis globally. Medical cannabis, without a doubt, is not going away anytime soon. It's going to be embraced by the medical community and by, I think, pretty much every free country in the world. I see recreational cannabis following on the heels of that. So I posit a world where pretty much every free society will have both a medical and a recreational cannabis program within the next 10 years.
Well, Paul, what is the next big opportunity in the cannabis global market?
For me, it's the United States of America for three basic reasons. It's going to be the largest market in the world, it's currently undercapitalized, and it's still early enough to really seek alpha as an investor.
Well, speaking of U.S. markets, Paul, what are the biggest risks to investors, and how can they mitigate those risks?
So the risk as an investor is to carefully contextualize all of the opportunities to make sure that you have a bit of a dashboard to determine why capital would flow into one asset in one state versus a different asset in a different state.
Finally, Paul, can you tell us a bit about your company, Title Royalty Corp?
So Title is a pure royalty finance company aiming only at the U.S. cannabis industry. So one, we're only putting our capital into play in the United States industry because that's where we think the most explosive growth is going to be. But rather than buying company shares with our capital, we're buying a piece of the revenue, really more like income. And so we're providing diversification, exposure to the burgeoning and exploding U.S. cannabis industry, but really a unique product in that we're not a minority shareholder in the companies that we're capitalizing. We're attaching to the top line revenue in perpetuity. So it's really quite unique.
Paul, thanks very much for joining us today.